So, Google had their I/O event this week to showcase new products and feature sets. Most devices you already have will be compatible with, or soon. Okay, that sounds making sense. Google held its I/O event this week to showcase new products and feature sets. Most devices you already have will be compatible with, or soon will be compatible with. At the beginning, their CEO, Sundar Pichai, stated that their mission statement is to organize the world's information and make it accessible and useful. These new features include changes to Google Search, augmented reality applications, and voice assistant enhancements. Compatible pictures that come up in search results can be viewed in 3D. So, for example, being able to rotate objects to observe details like the texture on the bottom or the sides of shoes.
That's
Then,
nuts.
yeah, then bring them into your environment through your camera, Pokemon Go style. So it's like you could like look up a picture of something, and there'll be like a 3D model that you can spin around, and then you can actually bring it into what your camera is seeing, right? So it's like you could like move something around in your room while you're looking at it through the camera.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah.
So, like, hey, you want to buy a new TV? Will this new TV fit on my wall? Let's find
I was
out.
just to say that's so dangerous for shopping. All the things it's like, oh, this looks good on me. Those shoes look good. This TV fits.
It's and the thing is, if everything is to scale, if that's an option where it will be to life scale wherever you put it, that's going to be amazing if they get that
Well,
going.
the demos that they showed, like the Great White and the shoes, for example, that they showed, it did seem to be in scale. They brought a full scale Great White shark via augmented reality, of course, onto the stage, and yeah, they were able to actually. It gives you a sense of scale and size of things, and then they showed a demo with like do these like somebody shopping for new clothes or new shoes or something like that. Do these go with my current outfits and stuff like that? And they
Lay your
showed a
clothes
picture
on a
of
bed.
yeah.
Lay your clothes on the bed. Bring in something that you're thinking about buying. You could augment that thing right next to your clothes. See how it works. It's going to be an awesome toy for shopping or just messing around with things, but it could also be educational. Anything else on that? That you wanted to say?
Not when it comes
Okay.
to 3D modeling part of the augmented reality.
Okay. Okay. So you'll be looking at your phone's camera differently after engaging with Google Lens. By far the most impressive use case for Google Lens, this is something they unveiled, is being able to capture the text on a sign, such as a direction or warning sign, then reading it aloud back to you. For those illiterate in their spoken language that manage to operate phones, it will change their lives. Beyond this, you can translate text from other real life services from one language to another. We're talking real time Google Translate given input from your camera sensor. Now, I hate traveling, and the idea of going into an environment where nothing is in English is
Hmm.
petrifying to me. This isn't going to get me out and about more, but I will definitely be testing this on Spanish signs and boards in my neighborhood. I got a market across the street with stuff in Spanish. The thing is, usually if there's something in Spanish written, there's something in English, but it's going to be interesting to translate the Spanish and see how one to one it is with the English that's there. It's exactly the same, or we'll
Oh,
see
that's
about
true, yeah.
It'll definitely be an interesting feature, like, and especially like if something isn't translated on the sign, like there's an alternate translation. version of it. You could ask, like, if you know somebody who speaks the language, you can ask, is this accurate? You can have them check the accuracy of some of this stuff as well. But based off what we've seen, it seems very interesting, and it would be a great tool for travelers, great for people, like he said, that are either illiterate but are also like maybe they have, I wouldn't say blind, but they're either they have trouble seeing sometimes, you know, like go on.
There are so many countries where you need to be bilingual or maybe even trilingual in Europe. These countries with, less than 20 million people, and like just the idea of being able to, not that I would really do this, but the idea of going into those regions of the world and just having like a Rosetta Stone in your pocket like that, just translating everything. That's amazing. Zach, did you have you had something that you mentioned before the podcast started, talking about this was going to affect people with disabilities. Is that related to the translating? Or
this is one of them, yeah, because as I was saying, like this will help people who are either illiterate or maybe they're hard of seeing. People who maybe they forgot their glasses at home. They could now have Google read a menu for them or translate a menu and stuff like that. And also that's another feature from this lens is that it's integrated into Google Maps as well. So for example, you go to a restaurant, you point your camera at the menu, and all of a sudden you have access to like what are the most ordered items on the menu, what are the most popular items on the menu, and you can select something on the menu through Google Lens, and you'll get pictures people have taken of the menu items and posted them online to Google and stuff as well. So it adds a lot of functionality, not just for the disabled, but for travelers or just people like want to go out and try new things and stuff as well.
So, hey man, people that travel, they got money to burn, and Google wants to help people, wants to facilitate businesses doing that. Gotta say, that's what a lot of this is. Now, let me talk about Google Assistant. This isn't a feature or tool that I use on my phone, as I prefer the old-fashioned manual research that you would do on a PC. So bear with me, but there were some updates to what they're going to be doing with Google Assistant. By the way, Cortana can die in a fire. Okay,
Cortana's already dead. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Okay.
It's gotten to the point where Microsoft is embracing Alexa, which honestly isn't the best choice in my opinion, considering all the privacy violations that we are now more than well aware of behind Alexa and Amazon.
South Park was right. Bezos is listening in on all our conversations personally.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I mean, we literally found out that that Amazon quite literally employs thousands of employees to listen to your Alexa conversations. So
that's got to be the weirdest job, but not as bad as being the Facebook people who have to like go through all the really bad posts, the quality monitors. But I've
Like,
heard some really weird stuff.
People are getting reported and flagged for like doing terrible things online, and they have to like go through and sort and judge people. That's bad.
Well, all like the weird shit that's online, like they have to view it and then like flag it. And like I actually heard that Facebook makes them not talk about their job and make it seem like it's not so terrible. But like people are literally getting paid.
I can imagine their therapists are making a lot of money.
Yeah.
They can't
Yeah,
afford
these people are
therapists.
messed up now. It's nuts. Maybe we could talk about that for like a whole hour, but it's nuts.
It's bad.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just bad.
Google Assistant. Now, let's say you have a Google Calendar appointment for a trip. You get a notification reminding you of this. You can then command Google to book a car rental where it will then automatically visits the website and fills out your information for you.
Holy crap.
Interesting.
Literally an assistant.
Yes.
What's this?
Yeah.
Of course, it does have you confirm it after it's done filling everything out, so it's not
after
just
all
gonna.
the details are in, you can check everything out before confirming the transaction. But it's a lot of, like I said, Google helping you burn money in your pocket. So there you go. So Google wants to facilitate that with a lot of these changes and updates. Okay, Google is claiming their assistant can process questions and requests up to 10 times faster than before for common queries like what's the weather, set a 10-minute timer, open calculator, etc. Google Assistant will follow your commands across other system applications on your phone better. For instance, it can recognize photos of animals in your gallery. It can respond to questions about your calendar or write emails by voice without needing to text anything, including the subject. Now, some of these things, for some reason, it just felt like you could do that already, but it was just something I wasn't utilizing. But the way that they were demoing it and some of the people in the crowd were kind of oohing and awing at some parts. It's like, oh, did the subject by itself too? I just heard like, because it's like you could, while you're dictating what to do in the email or the email message, you say something like title, subject, blah, 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 and that passphrase, it will go from like the actual message itself to the title subject. So there are like some like code words that you would have to memorize for specific things to happen. But yeah, in the demo it showed like this woman sending an email and no hands required.
If I remember correctly, they went through a whole string of commands going between apps and filling out forms and sending text messages to sending emails to sorting through photos to and there's also basically it seems like an endless mode, I guess you could say, for Google Assistant, where basically you can just bring up the assistant and just start talking and telling it what to do, and it'll just start going through things as you're telling it what to do, instead of like as the Google Assistant is now, you bring up the assistant, you ask it a question, and then it stops unless you bring up the assistant again. Yeah, it's only capable of doing one thing at a time, but meanwhile this new version of the assistant is capable of continuously doing things until you're ready for it to stop, basically.
Interesting.
So it's like it's balancing more plates instead of just the one. That's what it's spinning, all these different plates at once, all these different processes, trying to manage things. Okay.
Now, an interesting thing about since we're talking about Google Assistant, I want to talk about some of the stuff that's the accessibility features, more specifically, since this is more related to the assistant, is Project Euphonia, which is basically, it's meant to help people suffering from diseases like ALS and multiple sclerosis is ALS. I don't know medical terms, so.
ALS is Lou Gehrig's disease. That's the other name for it.
Lou Gehrig's disease, multiple sclerosis, people who suffered from a stroke and stuff like that. They have trouble speaking, and on top of that, obviously, people born with speech impediments. Assistants don't really have the capacity to understand them a majority of the time, and as such they can't really make use of a lot of the features and quality of life features that, say, Alexa or formerly Cortana or the Google Assistant is capable of doing. So with Project Euphonia is they're basically asking people with speech impediments and these diseases and who've suffered strokes and stuff like that to basically. This is an open call, by the way, that Google is willing. It wants to bring people in and record thousands of lines of talking, basically, so that the assistant can learn how to get around and understand your speech impediment, so that it can properly give you what you need through the assistant.
It's
And
like
cool.
it just sounds so tricky. I mean, to make something that I just wonder if you would have to like hit a mode on your phone to enable that.
to enable
Because
what?
that sort of that speech recognition.
Well,
Because-
no, it's not really a separate mode. What they're doing is Project Euphonia is them actually asking people to come into Google
Oh,
and record lines of dialogue so that they can help train the assistant to understand
okay.
people with
So it'll
these
just be
impediments.
incorporated into like the same thing that everyone would be using.
Yeah, it's just basically they're trying to help these people who want to use these features but are incapable of doing so because, well, they can't speak properly because of an impediment from either a disease, something they were born with, or something that they've suffered in their life.
There's so many different degrees of how impaired somebody's speech be.
That's why,
And
like I said,
it's
this is
like-
Google literally said, we want people to contact us, we want people to get in touch with us, and we want people to come in and do this so that it'll not only help you, but people like you and people with similar problems as you, and so, to make it so that you and everyone else, and so that everyone can make full use of the features that these assistants provide.
I just imagine by the time at some point during that project, they're gonna find like different cutoff points where it's like we don't have the technology to help these people, but then on the other side, there's the positive side where it's like we can help these people, and I just wonder what that difference would be and how someone can communicate.
The project was introduced by somebody with, I believe he had ALS. No, he said he had multiple sclerosis, I believe. And I'll be honest, I could understand him a little bit. Thankfully there were subtitles for when he was speaking, but it was really bad. And this person, he recorded over 40,000 lines of dialogue.
Wow.
For this
Wow.
project,
Well,
so that the Google Assistant would be able to better help him and people like him.
Can I continue with other things about Google Assistant?
Carry on.
Okay. Okay. Google Assistant has a new driving mode, which has a dashboard that brings your most relevant activities front and center while using the GPS. Calendar reminders, recent podcasts, or music listened to, your most frequent contacts are conveniently more accessible while in this driving mode. Phone calls and music have a low profile while the GPS map is up. If you receive an incoming call while doing all this, you'll hear the contact name, then you can choose to answer or not to hands-free. You can also now use Google Maps in incognito mode, which for privacy concerns will not store your activity on your account or the device while using it similarly to how the Chrome browser works. So the Chrome browser has an incognito. The way that it works, it's very similar to that. Incognito being the word. Incognito mode will also be coming to the YouTube app and search app and on Android phones. So YouTube's going to have incognito mode on Android and the search app.
So, in other words, those nights you feel like taking a deep dive down the YouTube rabbit hole and into creepy, weird, just nonsensical YouTube stuff. Like, let's be honest, we've all done it.
Oh my god.
The strange side of YouTube, baby.
About to hear the weirdest stuff come out right now.
I just thought of something. There was some story on the local news about like some parents that like murdered their kid or something, or just something, grim and gruesome like that, right? And I know I'm seem kind of manic, like, oh, this is so funny, but it's just like these stupid parents. They like brought their cell phone with them during when they were like burying the body or moving the body, dumping the body somewhere. They should have just left their phone at home. Right?
GPS tracking, everybody. GPS tracking.
Now, I'm not saying using incognito mode in maps would.
Now, we're not condoning murder here, but if you're gonna commit murder, be smart about it.
Leave your damn
what if
phone
I'm
at home.
expecting a call?
Leave your damn phone at home. Be an alibi.
Or if you're gonna bring a phone along, put it in airplane mode or something. But actually, there's not really related to Google I/O or anything like that. Kind of like this whole tangent we went on, but it's actually been found out that even in airplane mode, your phone kind of tracks where you are via GPS, and then when you go off in airplane mode, it actually uploads that information anyway.
Yeah.
I've like had my phone turned off, and I've gotten like flash flood warnings and stuff. Like my phone is powered off, and I'm sure if you guys see where I live, there aren't really any weather concerns. Southern California, you don't get tornadoes. You can get wildfires in some places, but not really where I live. But if you live in parts of the country where there's hurricanes or tornadoes or any kind of natural disaster is like almost a yearly thing, I'm sure you would get the same type of warning if your phone was turned off. That is so crazy. You're like, do you remember? It was like last year, maybe there was like some warning in Hawaii that like there were like incoming missiles coming to Hawaii. It's like brace for impact. There are like people like scared for their lives and their families. Like, how am I
don't remember this. When did this happen?
This happened.
It was a massive oopsie.
Yeah, like it was from I don't know, like just some government agency. They issued like a warning. I think it was supposed to be like a test, right? But it was like,
they forgot to preface it with "This is just a test."
Yeah. It was like people in Hawaii thought that there were like incoming missiles coming from probably Russia or somewhere in Asia.
We're getting way off track here, but just because you brought that up, that reminds me of the original radio broadcast of War of the Worlds.
Oh my gosh.
Like, people thought aliens were invading. Like that's how serious it was. People were committing suicide and stuff like that. It got that bad, but it got so bad that the government had to interrupt the radio broadcast and say, "This is just a radio show. This is not actually happening. This is not a real thing."
Zach, that show Adam Ruins Everything.
Huh?
When he the episode Adam Ruins Halloween.
Yeah.
Part of that episode was him debunking the War of the Worlds radio broadcast. Like, it wasn't as bad as it's depicted.
Okay, but
I don't want just to say, man, there is an Adam Ruins where you that. I mean, that's like such a sensational. It wasn't Orson Welles just brilliant, but it's like, I guess it didn't happen the way we all think it did.
So, we do know that they had to interrupt the broadcast to tell people this isn't real, but it probably wasn't as bad as many people obviously think it was.
It wasn't the riots. There weren't riots or anything like that. But okay, back to Google. IO stuff. I just wanted to really get into. You could like turn off your phone and it can still just like explode with noise out of nowhere. Like
For the 3 years I've been here in New York, like most of the alerts I get, which are rare, thankfully, because the alerts are Amber Alerts. Those are the majority of the alerts I get. I probably get like 1 or 2 a year. But I think it was last year where I got a tornado alert. Like,
Oh wow.
tornadoes in New York. Ooh. I mean that you didn't actually get anything though, right? It was
no, we did get a tornado warning though, and it was
just a warning.
Yeah.
Okay, Google I/O. Back to that. There's a new closed captioning feature on Google devices called Live Caption. This was really cool because I like subtitles on just about everything I see. It's not just for when I watch, British movies where I can't understand
British
what
was
the heck.
first.
Or anime.
You ever watch? No, but the thing is, you could watch like a movie like Snatch or Train Spotting, and it's like there are people talking, and it's like, what the hell is this guy saying? Like you just don't know what the hell they're speaking English, but it's like it's bad, really bad English. But yeah, I just in general I like subtitles. So this is a real cool feature. This live caption. With the click of a button, you can turn on live, real-time closed captions for pretty much any video playing on your phone, including movie clips you have just recorded.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and this is again another one of those accessibility features where it'll just help a lot of people, mainly focusing on those hard of hearing or people that are deaf. Because there's actually like one of the things that they introduce a feature, then they have people talk about it, and they were like one of the people was like she always used to go into her parents' room in the middle of the night, wake them up and ask them, what are they saying? What are they saying? On some videos. And like, so it's one of those features that'll help a lot of people, and it's good for other things as well. People like Ed.
Yeah. I love subtitles. Okay, yeah. This is thanks to breakthroughs in speech recognition technology, which Google has had years and years to develop, and it just keeps getting better. And this is just something that they can do now. They're claiming that they're going to be able to. You could just record a video of you like saying anything or doing anything, and like if you were speaking in it, you can create subtitles for whatever, just automatically. I love that.
And I know it was an early demo of what they were showing off, but while there were like a couple mistakes here and there that I noticed in the live captions, all in all, it was very accurate for the most part.
And it's better than what YouTube does, like right now.
Well, I mean, with this new thing, that's probably going to replace YouTube's captions and stuff. So,
Do you watch our YouTube videos with captions?
No, I don't. They're bad. That's why if they don't work, sometimes I've seen, let's say, some kind of anime that's dubbed in English, and I'll still put on the subtitles, and like the subtitles, maybe they would be more appropriate if it was dubbed in Japanese, but it's like what they're saying in English, it doesn't match what the subtitles say. Maybe like the gist of what they're saying is similar, but they don't match. So if there's a case like that, I turn the subtitles off. If the subtitles are not accurately depicting what they're saying, and if I can hear what they're saying in English and the subtitles don't match, you just got to turn it off. It's like,
myself and a bunch of YouTubers I watch as well. Like if they notice that the subtitles don't match what's being said, we call them out. Like I call them out, they all call it out. Like and like specifically for a couple of YouTubers, it's a real pet peeve for them. Like, why do these subtitles not match? Did they not share the script between the voice actors and the people doing the subtitles? Like, what's going on here?
I can't watch anything with subtitles. Anything.
Well, the
I
reason
can't pay attention to like two things. I can't read and then watch at the same time.
I mean, I watch a lot of anime. I'm used to it.
I can
but
only watch anime that's in English because I can't read and watch. Then I feel like I can't. Like I might as well just be reading a book. Like I literally am not watching what's happening. It's too distracting.
But the main reason myself and obviously a bunch of other YouTubers play with subtitles on in their games is because it's a common request. Like, does this video game have subtitles? Why don't you play with subtitles? Like, because again, this is a thing. People watch YouTube videos that are hard of hearing and stuff. And
no. Listen, this is really why. It's because usually when people are playing a game, when they're streaming a game, they turn the game audio low, and you can't.
That's also true. Yes.
You can't hear the voice actors as well, and if the person playing the game, if they're talking over the cutscene, it's like you wouldn't know what the hell they're saying unless there were subtitles.
Yeah,
that's what it's about.
So it's a combination of things, really. But anyway, carry on.
Okay. New feature. Smart Reply. Smart Reply is a new installment or type of, tier category of suggestions given to you after receiving messages. Besides short phrases or emojis to respond with, you can be suggested entire actions leading to other apps. If, say, you were given an address in a text, you'll be given an option to automatically launch maps to find it. So you don't have to copy and paste the address into maps, and it's just a little shortcut there.
That's kind of been a thing already, but it's more of a direct thing now. That's just an example they've given for a possible just something that Smart Reply is already capable of. But the text suggestion for Smart Reply, and also being able to reply in the notification menu in the notification windows of apps is now becoming a universal thing as well, right?
Smart Reply, it's just something I don't really encounter. I know Smart Reply, I know in Skype or on my phone when I respond to text messages, if there's any kind of some kind of suggested reply, it's usually just something that's cheesy or corny or just some.
Well, I think it learns with you though, because I use it sometimes, and then it will suggest things that it wouldn't normally suggest. I'm like, whoa, Google's literally learning how I talk. It's cool and effective.
The most common thing everybody has to go through when they get a new smartphone is they have to teach it how to not say duck.
Yeah.
Because let's all be honest, everybody curses, even in text messages.
Yeah.
Okay, so live caption and Smart Reply fall under the banner of on-device learning, which is tailor-made based on your activities tied locally to your phone, tied locally to your device, without the user input ever leaving the phone, protecting your privacy accordingly. Now, if it was Amazon, I can't trust those guys.
That's why Amazon doesn't make phones anymore. They tried once and it failed so hard, they're like, nope. Anybody here remember the Fire Phone?
I heard about it, but it didn't go anywhere.
Nope. They basically they tried it once, nobody bought it, and they're like, okay, well, let's try something else.
We tried. Let's just stick to shipping.
Okay, so privacy settings will be more easily accessible in upcoming builds of Android OS, you'll be able to perform system updates separated into a few different sections individually while your phone's still powered on, not requiring a restart.
Over-the-air updates.
That
Gotta love them.
I think there's a lot of people that they procrastinate, they postpone updating their phone. Maybe they don't realize they need to update. They'll get notifications saying that their phone needs to be updated, and they think like, oh, my phone's hacked or something. I mean, I've gotten some weird calls from my mom. She doesn't know anything how her phone works.
Oh, you were serious about the I think my phone's hacked thing.
Yeah. Just
that's sad.
It pops up as a notification, and it's like, oh, it's a pop-up or something, and it's just like, no, that's just your phone telling you.
Pop-ups on your phones and stuff aren't bad. They're not like the pop-ups in your web browser.
Well, that's, she's like 62 now. I don't know. Well, okay. Now, expect all of these features, including a new dark theme for better battery life, of course, to roll out to Android 10Q devices first.
Which, hey, by the way, this is actually something we can show off because I actually have the Android Q beta on my phone right now, and so there you have it.
Dark mode.
The dark mode
Nice.
is right there. That's the feature. That's the feature right there, and
Now,
there's the Android beta program thing right there.
Just in general, the darker a screen is, the less electricity your phone's going to be using. And with screens that are OLED, which a lot of like high-end phones, flagship phones, are using OLED screen variations of that, they especially benefit from the dark mode because those pixels, those black pixels, they just get turned off.
Less chance of a burn-in.
Yes. So what else do we have here? Okay. Now for the hardware. Google unveiled two new devices.
Before you move into hardware, because there are a couple more of the accessibility features. You did cover live caption, but aside from live caption, there's also something that works similarly and basically works alongside it called Live Relay, which is basically it allows you to basically talk to your phone and while at the same time, what's the word? Basically, when somebody's talking on the other line, it'll show you. Basically, it works like a text message. Like if you pull up a text window, you have what the other person is saying, being filled out on your phone so that you can read it, and then you can speak back to your phone, and the Android assistant will then read your text through the phone call to the person. So that's something that it's actually very interesting because it works similarly to the screen call feature that they brought to Android last year, which allows you to screens like you get a phone call, you don't know the number, you hit the screen call button, and the Android assistant and the Google Assistant reads off a pre-message like, "This is Google Assistant." The person roughly says, "The person doesn't know you. Please say who you are, why you're calling," and the person you're calling will receive a text log of what you say. 90% of the time, it gets people to,
And I meant to I hit that on accident one time, like screen call, and I meant to hit it like I didn't want that person to just know I was near my phone. I was like, shit. Because then, like, they know that you touched it.
So you meant to hit end call then, and you hit screen call.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it gives you a text version of what the other person on the other end is saying, and then you can reply, and then Google Assistant will read what you replied to the person at the other end of the line. which again is really good for people who are hard of hearing or deaf, because I'm sure everybody here has been in contact with or been friends with or it, and so on and so forth with somebody who's deaf or hard of hearing that they have trouble talking as a result.
Okay. So you're saying that as you're talking on the phone, there's going to be text of like what you were
transcribed. That's what
transcribe. Yes. Okay. That seems kind of sketchy to me in a way. Just
it's all none of it is stored, and it's all processed user side.
Oh, you take them for the word. If you're gonna do some sketchy stuff, you better use a burner phone, man. All I gotta say, don't use your normal phone.
Skeptical.
As always.
But yeah, so it transcribes what the person at the other end of the line is saying into text, so that the person, so like say Edward to call me and we were to use this feature, it would transcribe what he's saying into text for me, and then I could either verbally tell the assistant what to type, or I could type it out myself, and then the assistant would then read it back to Ed.
The thing is, what if you say something, I don't know, something about saying something, and then like it's in writing, and it's how long it seems like almost permanent. When you say something, it's just not there anymore normally on the phone. But if you say something and then it's like in writing, like can you take that back? It's just
the conversation. It's not like a text message that's like that's on your phone all the time. As soon as you end the call, it goes away. That's it.
Okay, all right.
That's why I said it's not stored, and it's all user based. So it's all processed on the device, with no external communication to other servers or anything like that to process it.
Was it Apple? There was like some data breach with Apple or something, and like people that thought like their pictures or their emails that had been deleted, it was like they really hadn't, and they were like being backed up on like some service, some server.
Probably Apple Cloud or something like that, or iCloud. Yeah. That's it.
I feel like iCloud's getting hacked all the time, so it just makes sense.
I think Google got hacked once, and that was it. Like Google, there's a big celebrity scandal. Like celebrities had all their dirty pictures on Google Drive, and they got released from this hack. And then since then, nobody's hacked Google Drive.
Oh boy.
Well,
that's not good.
I think the fappening that was with Apple when that happened. It was like was Jennifer Lawrence pics and like people like that.
One more feature, and this is actually what reminded me of the word, is live transcribe, which is basically this is basically in-person version of what I was just saying, basically, where you have a phone, you're with somebody who's either hard of hearing or deaf, or is like incapable of speaking, for example. Like it's less of a focus on that because they can you can communicate with them, but they can't really communicate with you unless they're just typing. But you're able to, again, it live transcribes your conversation. So like you're talking with your hard of hearing or deaf friend, and you have your phone out and it's transcribing your conversation, so they can read it while you're talking with them, and there's like very little latency. They've gotten real good with the latency on this too. Like the screen call is almost instantaneous with how it transcribes the call being screened to text, so that there's very little wait time for the other person at the other end of the line. And yeah, so it transcribes what you're saying to the person for them to read, and then they can type out a response for which the phone will then respond, like read it aloud as the assistant.
Can I get the hardware now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, there are some good features for people with disabilities. I omitted some of that, and Zach picked up on that. So I'm glad you contributed to that. Because, yeah, thanks. Okay.
Those were a lot of the features that I was hoping you'd bring up in the tech segment, to be honest. But
Well, I was kind of focusing more on things that are going to apply to everybody, like so that's why I did that. Okay. Okay. Google unveiled 2 new devices at the I/O event. First one was the Nest Hub Max. Then came the Google Pixel 3a. The Nest Hub Max is designed to be a smart home control center in a tablet form factor. It has a 10-inch 1280 by 800 display, front-facing Nest camera with a 127-degree field of view, 2-channel speaker setup, 2 far-field microphone arrays. So it's just a type of microphone configuration, pick you up like in anywhere in the room, really. And a switch to disable the camera and microphone. Your lights, thermostat, and security cameras, I take it, can already be controlled by your phone, but a dedicated tablet on a stand could be more convenient for some homes. The Nest Hub Max functions like a Nest Cam for motion detection home security. It has a camera that can focus on subjects moving within its range while doing video calls. There are multiple indicators and switches to power the camera or the mic on and off for your consideration, because there are some times where you just want to turn the cameras off or the mic off. Probably a good idea to do that sometimes. Its price is set to be $229.
yeah,
That is this Nest Hub Max thing. This is for people with nicer homes with more things to lose. I would say that.
I wouldn't really say that. It's they're designing it to be like a central control center for like as you modernize and make your home more of a smart home. Like, I mean, more and more of these smart home features are becoming more and more affordable. Like, you can get smart outlets and smart lights for like $10-$20 now. Like, they're getting cheaper and cheaper, and so having like a central hub to control it all is it's getting more and more hard to manage it all without having something to manage it all, you know?
I think the rules in my apartment say that I'm not even supposed to nail anything into the walls in here. So like changing things with thermostat, smart thermostat and stuff like that. It's this is for people that have houses, definitely.
Well, I mean, you can.
It's like an outlet or something.
Yeah,
could
you
take
can,
it out. It's
Okay.
just-
You can have smart outlets and smart lights, though. You know.
I don't know. I kind of just like the way that you can plug a light or a lamp into a socket and then it's tied to a switch. Like I'm good with that. I'm all good with that, man.
The old fashioned.
I'm all good. I mean, I'm totally fine with that. Okay, now let's talk about the phone. Or
Again. Sorry.
We're gonna have to start a drinking game. Every time he's like, hold on, let me interject. We're all gonna take a shot.
Yeah, take a shot. I find
sorry,
it funny.
when I'm reading this stuff, I'm like not looking at the stream, so I can't really see you guys. If you're like gesturing,
okay.
I
Okay.
haven't really been able to. Yeah, This is a case for having two monitors.
It really is. It really is.
I could have one monitor stream and the other one with what I'm reading. Maybe I could do like some split screen. That's something you can do in Windows. You could like do some kind of split screen.
You can snap
you
to
can
snap
have
to the
two
edge and stuff
times.
like that.
Yeah.
I might
But-
have to
I
look
have
into
no
do that. I've never done that like in any kind of application. That is some like a trick I could make.
But I find it
Yeah.
funny that they just introduced the Google Home Max like about 6 months ago, and they're already rebranding it. Like they just announced and released the Google Home Max, which is almost exactly the same as the Nest Home Max, like at the Google Next event, which was in like September or November, September, October, November, one of those three. And the only feature difference, notable feature difference, is that there's a camera and microphones. And obviously, they announced now that they're rebranding all Google Home devices as Nest devices. But yeah, out aside, carry on. Go on.
Okay. Now for the phone, the 5.6-inch Pixel 3a starts at $399, and the 6-inch Pixel 3a XL starts at $479. The 3a has a resolution of 2220 by 1080, and the XL is 2160 by 1080. They are both powered by a Snapdragon 670 processor. The 3A has a 3000 milliamp battery, and the XL has a 3700 milliamp battery. Google is claiming the 3A can get up to 30 hours on a single charge thanks to having an adaptive battery that is optimized based on how you use your phone. With the included 18-watt charger, you can get up to 7 hours of battery life charged in 15 minutes, which I have never really experienced fast charging for. I think none of my devices really work like that. The thing is, I go for like $200 kind of like budget phones that do that.
Okay, well then let me
sounds-
ask you: would you consider upgrading to a 3A for that price point, considering all the features and stuff that you get with it?
I got my Xiaomi Redmi Note 5. I know I wouldn't be surprised if none of you guys had heard of Xiaomi before.
I
They
mean,
don't
I
really-
have, but we
Yeah.
both follow Linus Tech Tips and stuff like that, so.
Yeah, it's an international version of the phone. There wasn't like a US release of it, but there's an international version of Xiaomi phones, and they're big in India and China. Xiaomi's an Indian company. They're considered the Apple of China, which to me, when I first heard that, it was like a knee-jerk reaction because I don't like Apple, but they put a lot of good specs in affordable phones, and the way that they monetize their stuff is through services that are actually profitable in Asia, but I would never use them over here. But I can take advantage of like these very good specs and like more affordable phones. Like the Moto G, whatever the current Moto G is right now, or
7, I think,
or
or 8.
late, either right now or late last year, that Moto G was going for like $300, and the Redmi Note 5 was going for $200, and the specs were better in the $200 phone. So I just went with that. The thing is, the Moto G, it has better band compatibility in the United States, and the 4G, 5G, whatever, not 5G. We're not at 5G yet. Yeah, the 4G is
We kind of are, kind of aren't. We're kind of in purgatory right now when it comes to 5G, because it's
there,
out in
but
a
you
couple
can't use
cities.
can't
It's
really
live.
use it.
It's live, but only in like 20 cities across the U.S. I think right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even really a thing. It's just, can we get more, like, towers up? And then the more towers you have, then you can have 5G.
So the Xiaomi phone that I have, its specs were really good for $200 at the time. It's just the wireless band compatibility is bad. But the thing is, I use it on Wi-Fi if I was going to do anything data intensive, and there's no bottleneck. My down speed, that matters. I just I use my cell phone similar to like a home phone. Really, I have a like a I want to say a $15 a month Mint SIM service that I have going on. Very little data per month, but like I said, I use Wi-Fi, and you get unlimited talk and text. So
Hmm.
that's all that I really need, and it's $15 a month because you buy it for a year. That's the way that business model works with Mint Sim for you to save the most. It's like you buy you buy the next year. You don't pay month to month. If you paid month to month for the service I'm getting, it would be more than $20. It maybe be
Yeah.
$25 a month or something. But because I bought it for a year, it's only 15. So that's what I'm using. And I don't use my phone in a way where all these features where it would be worth me. But the thing is, if I were gonna get a phone that was $400, this looks good. I'm sure that this would have excellent reception in the United States and all that. So yeah, if I were to pay,
Flagship level camera and all that too, for $400.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends what you use it for. Like, if you're an app person, if you're a camera person, a social media person, like, it's great. And I think it's probably one of the leading phones, especially for that price point.
Oh yeah.
But, I mean, if you don't need it, then.
It's been to be honest, it's been getting fantastic reviews from both tech YouTubers and the general news media have been basically showering it with praise, saying this is the phone that we didn't know we needed.
Exactly. That's what I tell everyone when they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a new phone. What should I get?" Because like I switched over. I've had so many different iPhones, and I was just like done with iPhone. And then I switched over to the Google Pixel because it was just had such great reviews. And it's literally, I've never loved a phone like I love my Google Pixel. It's the best thing ever.
I have a Pixel 2 XL right now, and
Same.
before that I had a regular Pixel, and I gotta say I've enjoyed the quality, and yeah, they're great phones.
It's
yeah,
great.
I
Google, you can
got
sponsor us too.
yeah, Amazon and Google looking at you. Yeah.
Mountain Dew, you too. Shout out, girl.
Okay, the first phone I got, and the thing is, I'm not a phone person. Okay, I'm a PC hardware. I like PC stuff. I'm not a phone person. I'm not a cell phone person. I think cell phones are kind of annoying and they bug me in general. I think people getting caught up in social media on their cell phones can lead to some real toxic, you know, mind fuckery. So I just don't like cell phones generally. But the first cell phone I did get, it was actually after I saw an Austin Evans video. If any of you know who that is, he's a tech YouTuber. And at the time, he was still a teenager. Probably only had, what, 300, 200,000 subs at the time, back in early 2013. And I got a Nexus 4. And the thing is,
It's another Google phone.
yeah, exactly. And the way he was talking about this phone, and this is right when T-Mobile started their like no contract policy. Like that was like their whole
Mhm.
deal, like just whatever, just pay as you go, month to month, no contract, just buy your phone outright, get a SIM card, and just go from there. You're not chained to any service. And the thing is, I got that phone, and I didn't really need a phone, but I wanted to have a cell phone just to use it. And the thing is, I never activated a SIM card. And the thing is, I ended up not needing the phone, but I was able to use it for like I was using it on Wi-Fi. I could do some stuff. It was like having a real small tablet. Is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really get all that much use out of it. I used it for really up until sometime last year. I would use it sometimes, but I never used it as an actual phone. And then after I cut,
I got a phone, but I never used it as a phone.
I didn't even need it, never used it. I just have it.
yeah, exactly. The thing is, when I cut the cable, I lost the landline and cable TV. So then I actually did need a phone with service and stuff like that. And then I found out about Sim, and it was really after I found out about Mint, I was just like, yeah, it's time to kill this. I could pay $15 a month, and it's worked out pretty well. But yeah, that's why I bring up the Nexus 4, because it's a similar idea with what they did with the Nexus 4 and other Nexus devices. What the Pixel is, it's very, very similar to what Google's trying to do. And the funny thing is now, the Nexus 4, this is a phone from late 2012, and I got it in early 2015. It only has 8 gigs of RAM. I think that thing.
I find it funny that you say it only has 8 gigs of RAM when most.
Excuse me. 8 gigs of storage.
Okay. I was gonna say most phones nowadays only have 4 gigs of RAM.
Oopsie. It had 8 gigs of storage. No at micro SD card. You couldn't expand the storage.
Oof.
So you had to get either the 8 gig of storage model or the 16 gig. No micro SD thing.
And considering the size of apps nowadays, that's not a lot.
I think it had 1 or 2 gigs of RAM. I forget, but I just remember last year thinking like, I know it's time. I need to have an actual phone to activate, and it's like I'm not going to use this Nexus 4. A Nexus 4 in 2018 is like a potato, and I think it had just like dropped. Google had dropped support for updates for probably the previous 2 or 3 years, so it just seemed like kind of a risk to even use it in the first place. So yeah, I shopped around, and I went with the Xiaomi. I took a risk with the Xiaomi phone, and I think it's been okay. But let me continue talking about the Pixel 3a here. Okay, the Pixel 3a's will come in 3 different colors. They're called Just Black, Clearly White, and a new color called Purplish.
Purplish.
Funny name. And
I like how they introduced it too.
Sorta.
They introduced it by saying, "And a new color, purple-ish."
Ish.
They had that pause there that made me laugh.
And it's purplish. It's faintly purple. It's a faintly purple tinted white color.
It's kind of like a lilac color, really.
Oh, okay.
Like a very pale purple.
Pale is that's the right word to describe it. Pale purple. Hey, alliteration. Pale purple. Could have called it that, man. But its camera takes excellent low light photos with night sight, which outclasses the iPhone X, which they made a big case for that in the demo, and the crowd went wild when they showed the side by side of like low light photos. The Pixel's portrait mode is now on the front and rear cameras. Now, Zach, the previous Pixel phones was portrait mode only in the front or the rear.
It's only in the
just
back
on one.
and the rear.
Okay, I was gonna say I can't answer that because I've never used it.
Okay, so now it's in both of them.
Right.
Starting on Pixel phones as a preview of what's to come when taking walking directions on map GPS, you will get arrow signs pointing you in the correct direction while looking through your camera. Arrows and destinations will appear on your screen. The Pixel 3a will be available on more carriers, including Verizon, T-Mobile, Sprint, and U.S. Cellular. I haven't even heard of U.S. Cellular before.
They've been around for a while.
Okay. So
I believe it's another one of those companies that uses either Sprint or because there's a lot of these like sub companies of T-Mobile, Verizon, Sprint, and AT&T, like Cricket and Boost and stuff like
Cricket.
that.
I knew what that term was. Yeah, it's like a sub carrier. They piggyback on the network of a larger company,
Yeah,
and usually their service is less good, but they're usually like discounted or budgeted or
yeah.
whatever you want to say. Like
Yeah.
Cricket is on AT&T, Mint Mobile is on T-Mobile, and I can't name any others off the top of my head. But Cricket quality
Metro
is probably,
PCS is another one of them. I think that one uses AT&T. Boost, I think, is off Sprint. I'm not sure, but yeah.
All right, so that's all I got for Google I/O event. Anything else you want to add?
No, not really.
All right.
Caitlin, what kind of phone do you have?
An iPhone.
How did I have a feeling?
It was the look on her face when you asked. That's how you knew.
Oh, yeah, we're switching back though. Like we got iPhones. Just this is the first iPhone both me and Kevin both got them, and we hate them. Like we both hate it.
Which iPhone? The new one? Or?
No, it's like I think it was the last generation. I think we have 7. I think ours is a 7. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, we got them a while ago. Like they're way
gotcha.
overdue. Yeah, like we hate them. Like we literally talk about every day how we need to go get new phones, and we just haven't yet. But yeah.
Well, I mean, now you have new options.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah,
Just
I
got an
do.
earful about the freaking
Yeah.
Google Pixel.
Yeah, and that's like I miss it. I miss the whole just not having an iPhone. Like I hate it. I always have problems with it.
Okay, so Microsoft had an event, the Build event. It was really boring and really cringy, and there's really not that much to talk about that, but there were some other things to talk about Microsoft this week. And this topic I'm going to talk about, it was discussed there, but what really caught my attention when watching some of the clips from the Build conference was, and when I say caught my attention, it was caught my attention for being so cringy. Just anything with HoloLens. I just don't. It's really just not for anybody. Really at home, it just doesn't apply. There's like this big disparity. If you looked at like if you watch the Google event, it was like awe-inspiring. Look at all these amazing things we're going to be able to do with our phones, and it's going to be like on the Pixel first. So don't you want to get a Pixel, to experience this, sooner than later or something like that? And it was just amazing. Watch what was showcased in the Google one, and then what was in the Microsoft one. It was like a crappy E3 press conference.
Oh god.
It was like maybe worse. When they were doing the HoloLens deal, it was like people.
I remember when they brought the HoloLens onto their E3 stage, like the first gen HoloLens, way back when. And then it just disappeared for like half a decade. And nobody ever heard from it.
There was this woman, she was like an avatar in a HoloLens like conference room. It was like a virtual conference room, and there are people in different locations, and they can interact with one another, and they can like throw documents and charts to one another. And it's
talking like Avengers, like that type of holographic conference room type thing?
This ghetto Avengers. And these HoloLens things, I think they're like
Can
thousands
someone make
of
that
dollars.
edit, please, for that? Like that's amazing.
And the woman that was the avatar, she just sounded like I just people were like acting like really trying to sound enthusiastic for what they were doing and the tech, and it just it wasn't believable. It was everyone. They sounded like bad actors, like just really, really bad actors. And they sound. This one woman, the Avatar woman, she sounded like a Garbage Pail Kid, is what she sounded like.
Oh
That's my initial thing when I
the shade.
like. Okay, so that was just a big zero. I
So
did not
basically,
like-
this week we got Microsoft's version of augmented reality, and then we got good augmented reality.
Yes, and it's like this Microsoft augmented reality. This is like something that's been kicking around for, like 5 years or something, and it's just no. There's no real application for normal people. This is like for businesses that
Yeah.
want to look. It's like pretentious businesses or something. I don't know. It just looks stupid.
Probably for people who want to do like 3D modeling or something like that. Probably, I don't know. But at the same time, I think I kind of prefer Google's way of handling augmented reality, of it just, hey, it's on your phone, as compared to putting on a VR headset style HoloLens, you know?
And then
Yeah.
they were also talking about like there was a segment talking about like stuff in Microsoft Edge and Internet Explorer, and I was thinking, is Internet Explorer still a thing? I thought they like phased out Internet Explorer, and it was like
I thought they did too, because like all the focus has been on Edge, really, and I've been trying to give Edge a second chance recently, because I've been seeing some reviews ever since they changed Edge into a Chromium-based browser, which uses the code from Google Chrome, and I just find some sites that work perfectly fine in Google don't even work at all on Edge, despite being Chromium-based and using the same basic system as Chrome. And it's like, I wanted to try it. I wanted to give it a chance. I wanted it to be fine. I wanted it to work. And you just disappointed me left, right, and center. Just go away. Get off my browser. Get off my desktop.
So yeah, the build conference, whatever presentation, it was pretty bust. But there are two things I could maybe get into here talking about related to Microsoft. Microsoft is launching a new command line app for Windows 10 called Windows Terminal. The terminal will be a collection/hub for non-GUI or graphical user interface line text environments like PowerShell, Command, and the Windows subsystem for Linux, all in one place. It's going to be all in one place. They've also announced that they're going to incorporate a Linux kernel into Windows 10, which will be available this summer for testing. I didn't know this, but right now you can actually download some distributions of Linux right from the Microsoft Store, and I guess you could like run those in tandem while Windows is running, so you don't need to like dual boot into like a different operating system on a partition and your hard. Yeah, it's a bunch of jibber jabber. But a kernel is okay. Let me. I have heard the term kernel used in computer talk for quite some time, but I never really looked into it. But let me kind of try to explain what a kernel is. A kernel is the core of an operating system in which all processes running on a computer use. It's the layer between hardware and software. How your CPU gives instructions to the programs on your PC.
It's basically the translator of your OS, more or less, is an easy way to describe it. It translates hardware interaction into software action.
Now, a lot of this is over my head, but it sounds like Microsoft sees incorporating open source Linux software into their own ecosystem as a potential strength rather than a weakness going forward. So, with the kernel in particular, that really just means there's going to be more optimizations for Linux within Windows itself. and it's all open source, so it doesn't cost Microsoft anything, but it could be, I don't know, tempting people out of their operating system ecosystem a little bit, but they're figuring it has more of a potential strength than a weakness, or that they wouldn't be doing it. Like I said, nowadays they're like giving away their operating system. You just get the watermark in the corner.
Yeah.
Really, Microsoft is they've changed.
They've really toned down significantly.
That's all for tech. That's all I got.
We do have people on the Discord server that are more into this type of the software side of things, like programming and such, who have gone on saying, I don't know who kidnapped Microsoft, but I hope they never give them back, because of how Microsoft is bringing these open source toolkits to Windows when they've had such a tight rein on how they've been used, how their software and stuff has been used for quite a while now. I
bet if like Xbox One had been a wild success the same way like PlayStation 4 was, none of this would be happening. Just that would just be there's like Windows 8 had some problems, and then you know what, another one of the first signs really that things were changing is when they offered a free upgrade to Windows 10 if you had Windows 7 and 8. It was like, boy, they really want us to get on this operating system. Why are they giving it away for free? Maybe we haven't really seen like the ramifications of so many people switching over to Windows 10. But the thing is, there are still a lot of people still using Windows 8 and 7, surprisingly, even though there was a free update. Yeah. I would say some 30 to 40 something % don't use Windows 10 yet. It might actually be close to, it might be actually around 50-50, but there's still a lot of computers out using 7 and Windows 8. They didn't take the free upgrade. They either didn't know about it or they didn't think it was worth it.
I mean, I'm not sure how they wouldn't, considering you got a notification pop up every time you started up your computer in the lower right corner, like, hey, you could get a free update to Windows and Windows 10.
The tech guy would go to the boss, hey, we gotta upgrade the computers, and then the boss would say like, are we gonna have to shut stuff down? It's like, you say like, yeah, we can't do it now, and it's just like it just never happened.
Yeah, that's how it is at my work. Like everything's still outdated just because they turned it off when it like was gonna upgrade. Like the tech people were just like, no,
we're not just gonna turn it off.
Yeah, like they didn't like a lot of it is outdated. Like we still use like internet. Like if you get on internet on Edge or Chrome or anything, like it'll like mess up your whole system. Like you have to use like internet, like the old Internet Explorer that's slow.
Good lord, I feel sorry for you.
Yeah, it's horrible. It really is.